place to be mounted.
Whose beer is this?
Oh, yours now.
We got a beer here. I'm going to take a sip. I think I'm ready.
There you go.
Man. What's going on? Look at your booth. Look at this.
Pumping. Look at it.
It's been like this for 2 days for you.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Is it the balloons? What is it?
I don't know. I think it's Cindy.
It's
definitely not me.
We're not you.
100%. Right.
So what's been going on in Salt Lake, man? You got here what?
Monday. We got in Monday to set up, and then got set up. Went out, do our things. Dinners. Maybe a drink or two, maybe maybe three, and then just got into it, and here we are. Trying to sell our stuff, right?
Yeah. So how's the crowd been? I mean, have you noticed that at all the shows it's getting to be a younger and younger crowd and more actual installers and fence people?
Yeah, and I think too the biggest thing with it too is that it's not only is it a young crowd.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's going on? What's that? I don't know.
Hey, come on in, guys. We're filming.
Oh, you are?
You're on, Rick. Now you already brought yourself in, Rick. All right. So how's Master Halco going by there? You can't go more than 5 minutes without running into somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's the one thing that's true. Yeah.
So it's been like that the whole time. I was over here waiting for you. You had one customer after another walking in, or they were clients probably, or just friends.
Customers, clients. Yeah. And look, our community is such a tight niche community that. It's like we are like a family when you look at it. We're just like a fencing family,
Yeah.
So it's like all these clients. You just get close to them because that you build that relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, going back to what you're talking about, definitely younger.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is exciting for me to see that the future of fencing is actually not going to die because at some point, there was a worry that what's next for the industry. So, and stuff like, the trainings that you guys do at FWA and getting more, we're getting more even fence companies to try new things like automation and gates. And it's just going to improve our industry more and more. It's going to give it another. I see it. I mean, I was stopped by one person after another, and they're not just thanking me for all the stuff we're doing, but thanking us for how great these shows have become as well. Because I mean, we've seen a difference, and I know it's not because of FWA itself. It takes all of us and all of you guys getting involved and continuing to support it by doing the booths and things like that. What do you think the vibe is, man, in the industry right now? How do you feel it? I mean, you get a good read on it because you deal with so many different people on on the level of it. I think when you look at the scheme of what's happening in America and stuff like that, the vibe in the industry at the moment, I really think it's exciting.
Yeah,
I think there's been changes, thanks to a lot of what you're doing and AFA and stuff like that. We're starting to get that flip back to what makes this industry tick and important is the end user, end contractor or end fence installer, and that's a good shift for our industry. To start going, hang on a minute. Well, we have these shows and we're all selling stuff, but at the end of the day, if the fence people don't come in, then what do I do for a business? So the mood itself, I don't know. What do you feel like? What do you feel like in the mood?
I see the energy, and I think that definitely it feels like that it slowed down a little bit from what fencers are saying, around the country. But I think it's gonna go up, and I don't think it's just gonna go up because of actual numbers or any real reason other than we're gonna manifest it. I think there's a lot of confidence in the industry right now. People are excited about the changes maybe in our government and things like that. They're unexcited about certain things. I mean, you go around, you see a lot of steel and stuff in your, in your booth and other booths around here. So I'm sure the tariffs are concerns and things like that. But I think what's going to happen is, regardless of all that, you're going to see all of us manifest it because we want it. We want the industry to boom. We want another boom. We want to boom like, back in, 2019, 18. We want all that stuff to come back and have that boom again. So it's just going to happen. But speaking of that, though, give me these tariffs. I hear that a lot, even as I'm walking around.
Oh my! Sasha, what are the tariffs?
I'm like, when are people going to start talking about me again? You know what I mean?
I agree.
Talk about tariffs.
Let's just flip that around. Start talking about you right now. This is Brian, everyone. Don't worry about the tariffs.
So when we see that stuff, even us as fence companies, sometimes it makes we get almost want to panic buy, right? We want to start panic buying and stocking stuff. And I remember I did this during 2021. Remember when the pricing was fluctuating? And then I ended up sitting, though, as the pricing was going up, I ended up sitting on like a truckload full of chain link or something like that. And then all of a sudden the pricing drops. And now what do you do? And now, even if I sold this material I bought at cost, I can't even, I can't even do that and be competitive, right? So how do you think
so you just stay the course. I think if you look at history, and look, the world's uncertain right now, right? But one thing I'm certain about is you always need a fence.
Yep.
Right. What I'm certain about is that trucks will smash into gates.
Yep.
Cars will hit things. People will break. So all I can say, the tariffs are here, and it's an uneasy time. But at the end of the day, what's so exciting about our industry is that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not like, in 5 years you're never going to need a fence, right? We'll always need a fence. Yeah. So that's how I tell people about these tariffs are uneasy. I agree with you, leadership change. Some people are happy, some people are not. At the end of the day, you got to stay the course and just know you're in a great industry that is here to stay. It's not an industry that is going to be gone in 10 years. Yep. So that's all you can focus on. The rest then is go out there and learn more. Yeah. Go out there and make yourself more, not profitable, but that's part of it too. But also, hey, dude, don't just do chain link or don't just do iron. Maybe you have to do it, you know? So I'm excited because while the times are uneven, look at COVID. Yeah. That is one of the most perfect examples of our industry boom.
Yeah.
Take a really bad situation, but our industry went to another level.
Our country said, nope.
Yeah.
We're gonna boom anyway. And I love that you said that no matter what, they're gonna need fencing. It really doesn't matter if, honestly, this iron panel was $10 or $1,000. The only way nobody's ever going to not need this panel is if we get rid of the criminals, dogs, and children.
Exactly.
I don't see any shortage of those anytime soon. I always used to say that if it wasn't for them, we'd be out of business. And there ain't going to be no shortage.
That's right. So I feel like that's the plan.
Yeah.
Is just stay the course. Yes. The tariff, and then here's another thing. Make sure you're working with the right vendors.
Yeah.
Make sure you it's not all about the price, right? Yes, at the end of the day, we have to have a good price, yes, to be competitive. But try to find those guys because they're out there. Go to FWA, go to your site, go to those connections, go to the AFA site. But try to partner up with good vendors, and you will be fine.
Yeah. Well, speaking of right vendors, have you heard of those guys, Lion Fence?
Oh, yeah, I heard. You got some Aussie or someone, I know. No, man. Know about those clowns.
I don't know, man. But you can check them out if you want.
Please check us out.
Go to Lion Fence. Give them a shot. But back to the tariffs. It is. We've never had so many discussions over tariffs. By the way, there's always been tariffs, right? Yeah. But we've never had so many discussions over it, and we hear 25% tariff. So. Do you remember when they did that, even back during the COVID stuff, and even some of these other stuff, they had the tariffs and stuff that came in, and it was say a 25% tariff, but then we see pricing increase by 80%.
Yeah.
So how does since you deal with a lot of that, is that because of a markup that you have to do on top of the tariffs and the price goes up?
He always gets me into trouble. Right?
You need a beer?
Yeah, I need a bulletproof jacket right now. But no, so look, tariffs are coming and there's going to be replacement costs. And yes, that's going to just be the cost of doing future business in America. But currently right now, you should be working with partners that are not necessarily going to up their prices at this very moment because it's not about the tariff. I've got stock on the ground.
Yeah.
So during COVID, it was very interesting. But you have to
replace that. You're no different than say Las Vegas Fence. Yeah. I'm gonna just pick a number, $10,000 worth of materials in the yard. Even though I bought it at a less price, I can't sell it, for $10,000 if it's going to cost me $15,000 to replace it. All I've done was have the same inventory with less money in my bank. I just flipped it for for the product. So you still have to compensate for what it's going to cost you to bring in to replace what you have in your yard. So do you think that if this 25% increase comes in and all of a sudden you see a 50, 70, 80% increase from your suppliers, you should be like, hey, question it and ask them?
So I feel like, for everyone out there that's going to go through this now, yes, there's an increase. There's no two ways about it. There's an increase domestically and there's an increase import. So it's here. It's coming.
Yeah.
But I would be very apprehensive at this very moment. There's stock on the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely have to ask some questions, but in all true honesty, it's coming.
Right.
You know, so depending on where your stock was when it came, you know, some of the people have got it right now, but I would definitely question it. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I expect an increase. We're already getting notifications. People are getting notifications from suppliers, and that's normal. I mean, if their prices go up, you know, yours got to go up.
Yes.
I mean, and we got to expect that. But I think what's different about this opposed to the last time is the market's different. There's I've noticed that there's an influx of Asian, European markets coming in, and does that affect, you think? Before, it was kind of like our domestic market had a grip. I mean, a really strong grip to where you didn't have that influence coming in from out of there. Do you think the fact that there's more of that, you know, the foreign markets coming in, that's going to maybe control some of these increases?
So I feel like we're coming into interesting times in our industry, and I think they're exciting, but also a little daunting, because you're right that the overseas market, the Asian market, the European market, the manufacturers that are coming in to the States are taking away that traditional American model, bit by bit. And yes, it's what's the good and the bad thing. So what I tell clients is like, look, it's good for you, but it's also bad, because you need to make sure you vet these overseas companies as well.
Vet them for what?
Well, quality is a big thing too. Like, you know, make sure their quality's up to the standards. Like, look, there's products out there that maybe you don't care about. Like, doesn't need to hit some certain pointers. We're very particular about what we do, and we're honest. We're importers, so we're bringing in our product, but we have a standard that we want to meet. So I feel that market is, look, it's going to do. It's already done it, and it's just going to get more and more. It's going to dissolve that American, like that big boy that have had a big grip on our industry, and you know, it's going to shake it. It's going to be good,
but they've been
and it's going to be bad.
And I get that you want to vet for quality and stuff, but if I remember, you know, I mean, and you know, being in Las Vegas, it's always been import panels.
Yeah.
So it's not like those markets weren't always here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But was it always just flowing through domestic channels?
Yeah, it was always traditionally flowing through domestic suppliers. So while the product was all import, it was going through the big guys, and then they would go out to the market with it. Now the direct sell model is a little bit more prevalent than it's ever been. Even though it's always been, you've got a good point. It's always been here.
So it's always been the European and Asian and panels and other materials have always been here.
Yeah.
It's just now it's more of a direct. It's going around some of that. So how do you think that affects the defense companies? I mean, myself, I know if I want to go around the distributors, by the way, 99% of all the materials that comes into our yard goes through distribution.
Yeah.
You know, into Las Vegas, and we still resell that out to smaller defense companies and things like that. So I don't really think that having, you know, the direct sale stuff come in even a little bit more aggressively is going to change a lot of that, because your smaller companies, they don't have sometimes they don't even have a yard with a forklift, and they don't have the resources to get a truckload or buy in a quantity to take advantage of being able to go through that direct sale model. So, but do you think that's going to change? Do you think they're going to set up their own distribution, or will they be considered a distributor? I mean,
but they will. I think they're going to try, right? They're going to make more of a push to get into distribution and sell more to everybody, all different levels, rather than go through a big fence supply company and then let them distribute it. So
what makes somebody a distributor? Because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I could go back and I remember at some point, every distributor had a weaving machine, was making their own wire. So does that not make it a direct sale model? So is it a hybrid of one?
You got, look, I think we've labeled everything for too long, because you're exactly right. Because if you've got a weaving machine, you're direct selling, you're making the product. So you're right. You're right, because and I feel like that's a good point too when you put it like that. It's generally all a hybrid model that we're seeing. There's not many suppliers in here, the biggest suppliers in our country, that aren't a hybrid. Because if they're manufacturing, then they're direct selling. And then I think that's the issue when everyone has issues with other companies that direct sell, but you're like, that's what you're doing. So what I think we're going to find by the Asian and European market coming in here, I just feel like, again, it's creating competition, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with competition. Because if you were good at what you did, then you should be confident that you as a company and what you sell will be very successful. The issue with that is the way they approach sales.
Right.
So each country's a little unique.
Right.
And I feel that's the issue. Not so much the product and them coming, because we're buying it from them anyway.
But why aren't they just selling through distribution, though? What would make them, I mean, wouldn't it be easier for, like, you know, say we had a factory in China. Wouldn't it be easier just to go to, you know, distributors here and sell it through there? So I guess the question then I would be curious, and again, I'm just curious, is how are they managing to do it?
Yeah.
You know, they don't have, I mean, if they don't have the sales channel, they don't have distribution channels, they don't have all that set up. So it's really hard for me to imagine that unless they had the trucks and the distribution channel set up, that they're ever going to be able to replace, you know, distributors.
Yeah.
You know, because the average fencer, like I said, is not, you know, they're not set up for it. The average fencer doesn't have 10 employees. It's got 1 to 2. And if you got 1 to 2 employees, you don't have a yard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Where do you put this container? How do you unload the container?
Yeah.
Right. When you get it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next year or two. And I guess maybe the lines of manufacturers, distributors, dealers. I love the whole model. I wish we could maintain it, but I guess everybody along the line has to respect it. It can't just be defense companies respecting the distributorship model.
Yeah.
Right. And then everybody else above it can do whatever they want. And I think that maybe what it feels like for the fence companies, right? The fence companies are supposed to stay in their lane, right? And you're supposed to stay in your lane, but everybody above you just
do whatever they want.
Is just doing whatever they want, fighting with each other, and it feels like they're just driving they're the ones driving the price of their own materials down. We didn't ask them to.
Yeah. and I feel like you've hit all these points on the head that we don't discuss enough openly.
Yeah.
Because we label everything and we give it a very specific label, which is like that's not the label. You know?
Yeah.
Like how we label fence people.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, you know, I mean, you've talked about this. What is a fence person?
Yeah.
How do we define that? We're defining them by how many trucks they have and what type of non-yard. That's not a fence person. So I feel like that's the same in distribution in our model, in our game. I think we're doing it to ourselves, right? Because you guys haven't asked, from the install side, haven't asked for a cheaper price.
No.
So what are we doing?
Well, I mean, I can tell you, like Las Vegas alone, we'll just pick, say, a product, a temporary panel or something. Well, for 20 years, maybe they were selling for $120. You know, $120. They're being purchased from the distributors, and they're being sold to fence companies. Fence companies are selling them to general contractors or events that are being done, whether it's F1, whether it's the Raiders Stadium. And this is how it's been working for 20 years, right? So is it really that the markets, that the, you know, Asian and the European markets are coming in and destroying it? But why did somebody come in and decide they wanted to sell them for? I'm just picking a number. These numbers are all I'm pulling them out of the cloud because they're nothing. By no means am I telling people what to sell materials for. You know what I mean? But if they come in and selling them now for $70, when they were already being sold for $120, going through the proper distribution channels, why would they do that? You know what I mean? And then what would happen to, they say, the local companies that are now going, okay, well, that's what I used to pay for them. I'm just picking these numbers again out of the air. So if I used to pay $70 for a temporary panel, and you know, and sell them for whatever my markup was on top of that to the contractors and the events, and buy them from the distributors, and if the distributors come in and decide, or they're going to sell them for $70, but why would they do that? They're going to get that same amount anyway. Why not just go through the normal channels and sell them to the fence companies? So I guess I don't understand. Did we really drive the cost down, or did they drive it down on themselves?
No, they drive it down themselves.
So the only
this is my opinion from a distribution. They drive it down themselves,
right?
Because for some reason we forgot what this is all about, right? Like, to me, fencing, I'm a simple fencing guy, right?
Right.
So it's really basic. Brian needs a fence. I sell fence. Brian needs it in 2 weeks. I can deliver in 2 weeks.
Right.
Oh, guess what, Brian? I've got it on the ground.
Right.
Even better.
Right.
And I've got all this to go with it. And let's go do it.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, here's the price.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is, Brian, here's the price.
Yep.
You come to me and then you go, Sasha, I'm ready. I don't have it.
Yeah.
So we are 100% doing it to ourselves, because we're not doing.
But if
price
you
is
don't
important.
have it, then, and by the way, you're bidding it to the people I'm bidding it to in general for the same price that you sell it to me for, then what would a fence company, I'm saying me as a fence company, what would you do? I have no choice, or the fence company has no choice now to go and search out these people that are selling it directly where you can buy it. These numbers, I'm just picking them up. Maybe they're selling them for $50.
Yeah.
Same people that sold it to you. I now have to go and try to find that, which I was happy at selling it, buying it from you and selling it. So now I have to go around you, and then it feels like that you're mad.
Right, 100%.
But once I go and figure out I can buy them for $50 or $40 or $30, why would I ever come back and buy them from you?
Yes.
So did you not push that customer away?
100%.
You know?
I feel like that's why I agree with you. I feel like we've done that as distributors in our industry. We've done that because it doesn't benefit, Brian. It makes no sense to me. You've got a customer, you're selling to let's just say general contractor, right? Why am I going to go and take that business away from you when we can have that business forever?
Yeah.
And you can sell to them, I sell them, we're just turning everything around, you know? So
it's interesting. It's going to be interesting what happens. I'm hoping that we get back to respecting the model, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the model worked. It worked for a long time. Yeah. And not that I think that a dealer should stay in the dealer lane and a distributor has to stay as a distributor. Yeah. I think a dealer has, if he's a fence installer, has a right to decide, I don't want to build fence no more. I want to sell materials. Yeah. And I think a guy that's selling materials says, I don't want to just be the middle guy. I want to be a manufacturer. Everybody should have the right to, to have their business grow.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens. I appreciate you taking the time. I know I drilled you with some questions.
Oh, dude. Just for everyone out there that's watching, I'm now going to never be able to allow back at the show.
No. By anything I'm saying, it doesn't. It's not specific to anybody in general. It's just nice to get an. It is. As I walk around, these questions I'm asking are they're being asked. People are asking me about it. The members and people at fence companies, and then when I'm walking and talking to exhibitors, everybody else, they're all talking about.
And they're important. They're important topics to discuss, right? Yeah. Because to get this industry, like such a great industry, to keep making it great, we've got to discuss these things. So I think we're doing our damage to ourselves.
But I see growth in these shows.
Yeah.
This show is bigger, but it looks like it grew in some of the foreign market. Foreign suppliers are coming in. So,
100%.
So if that's the case, it makes us all want to question why weren't they here 10 years ago?
Yep.
You know what I mean? They've always been around, and why are they here? Why are they not selling through distribution? Yep. So maybe that's something we need to look into a little bit more. Figure out what did we do wrong that caused this to happen.
Yep.
Right? Where was the gap? Where was the disconnect? And why are they here? Why do we need them? Yeah. If we had a good system that works, and where is it broken? And maybe we can fix that and get it back to how it's supposed to be. Fence companies buying from distributors and distributors, buying from the manufacturers, because it's a good system if we can get it to work, right?
Yeah, 100%.
If everybody respects it all the way up.
All the way up, and it keeps everything even.
Well, Sasha, I know you're busy. Thanks for taking the time to talk. I appreciate it.
You got it.
You guys, if you're over here in Salt Lake, get over here to Fence Tech, because this is probably, I don't know, it's probably the biggest Fence Tech I've been to.
Yeah, by far.
Right? And there's just people coming and going. Education still going on. Yeah. I think even till after 5. So there's still time to get down here. So it's going to be open tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, man.